up, lovely? It's a chilly day from this side of the world. Welcome on today's episode. This one wonderful episode of Earth has a lot of things that shall be going on. First of all, good vibes. So the video is not about fruits. This was that I'm holding here. No, 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 no. It's a reaction video where you and I, wonderful soul, get to go through some extremely interesting compilation of videos with lots of information, my friend, from different parts of this lovely world. And all of these videos, my friend, we leave our perspectives, comments, thoughts on all of them through the comment section. While myself from this side, I tell you what I think about them. By the way, have it in your mind that I'm also watching these videos for the first time. I have never ever seen them, you see, but we shall be going through them together. Now, child of God, another thing that we do here is to spread our message. I'm sure if it's your first time, you don't know about the message. So let me put you up to speed with the message you have. Good vibes soul. We are dedicated to spreading peace to the whole world. And how do we do that? Watching the videos, trying to understand how different humans think from different places. That way, it can be able to forgive. We can all be able to forgive one another as we ask for repentance from our Creator. Next thing, wonderful soul, we talk about honesty. Everyone being able to live with one another truthfully without being deceitful in any way. And the last of the virtues we talk about is love. Interesting, child of God, we preach unconditional love to the whole world, ensuring each and every good soul like yourself is packed with some good vibes. Did you understand what you shall be doing? Now hit that subscribe button, like button, and help us in spreading good vibes. Another thing we always do, my friend, is hearing from the book of wisdom. If it's your first time here, don't worry, I'll show you the book of wisdom in 2 seconds. Oh, one, two. Yes, this one is the book of wisdom, aka the Bible. We read from it, my friend, to add more wisdom to our souls and be guided in our day-to-day lives. You see, also getting to know more about our Maker. Like today, it tells us from Isaiah 41:13, "For I am the Lord, your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Do not be afraid, O warm Jacob, O little Israel, for I myself will help you, declares the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel." Wonderful. Good vibes, soul. That maker that the book is talking about is the one that we shall be talking to, so that we start our videos of today. So humble yourself from wherever you are as you do so. Dear Lord Father, thank you for this day. Dear Lord, thank you for our hearts, Father. Thank you, dear Lord Father, for your child, today's viewer, Father. From wherever they are watching from, Father, thank you for your goodness. May you reach them, Father, impact them with their love and goodness, Father. Bless them abundantly, dear Lord. After this video, dear Lord, Father, may they have something, Father, to hold on, dear Lord, and to spread light with as we also go through them, Father. Dear Lord, also, may your spirit be our guideline. Help us not to be guided by our wisdom, but by your wisdom, Father. Help us to love one another, dear Lord, as you love us. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Child of God, let's dive in.
Was zur Hölle ist das? Das ist ja crazy. Hä?
I've gotten this comment a lot in this video, and I never realized how many people have cats that don't do this. This apparently isn't a normal thing. But let me tell you how I got them to do it to me, though. I cheated a little bit. Step one, every cat, when they move in, needs their favorite blanket. So it is your job as a cat mommy or cat daddy or whatever, step parent. I don't care what you are. If you want a cat, this is what you got to do. You got to make this your favorite blanket. So now that it's our favorite blanket. So when he sees me pull out this bad boy, he knows it's time to go take a nap in my safe space. This is his safe space. This is where he feels the most comfortable. Is it the most comfortable for me that I have 2 tons sitting on my stomach? Yes. Yes, it is. Step 2, cat huffing. Now, this may be a little dangerous. You want to get your face right up in there and take a big whiff. Just take a big rip out of there. Pull it and rip. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. This lets them know how much you care about them, okay? That you just want to take a... Sorry about that. The aggression kicked in. That's one of the side effects. Step 3, you got to pick them up whenever you want, okay? So that they like it as much as you do. Example. You got to huff that one too. At the end of the day, you just got to show them how much you love them. And results may vary, by the way. If you get scratched while doing this, that's not on me. That's on you. So, good luck out there.
My God, what are these? Flying above international waters. You see? And this is what guys are seeing from up there. My God. Oh, this is the same day a fire started allegedly.
Do you guys ever think of someone or dream of someone and then they call you? Unfortunately, this is labeled as a coincidence or as voodoo science. In this video, I'm going to prove why this phenomenon can be proven scientifically. So we have 5 normal senses and we have 5 paranormal senses. The normal senses is easy to figure out when you look at the human face. Sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. And your 5 paranormal senses: telepathy, precognition, clairvoyance, clairaudience, telekinesis. Telepathy is knowing what someone else is thinking or feeling without any sensory data. Precognition is the ability to know what's going to happen also without any sensory input. Clairvoyance is seeing something in your mind's eye without optical data. Clairaudience is hearing something without auditory data. And telekinesis, moving objects without deliberate manipulation. There are locations in the brain that are related to paranormal activity. In the human brain, the ability to perceive outside of yourself is a frontal lobe's process. There's a part called premedial cortex that is connected to empathy. They actually did a study on 2 prison inmates, and they did brain scans on both of them. And one of them was a psychopathic killer, but had no remorse. The second one was a violent offender, but did feel guilty for his actions. And they discovered that the premedial cortex in this psychopath wasn't active. They did another study where they put 2 people in isolation booths. They discovered that those that didn't have any bond or connection, telepathy didn't work as well or at all. And the frontal lobe is responsible for this bonding between people. There's another part of the brain called the amygdala. It's very tiny, and it triggers our fight or flight response. The amygdala clicks forward and backward. If you come across like a threat, it clicks backward. And that's only half of the story. If you see something smiley and wholesome, something that improves your quality of life, it clicks forward. When the amygdala clicks backward, there's a very low likelihood for paranormal activity. I want to expand on precognition. It's getting information that you don't cause, and you're literally using no logical inference for it. There are some cases where it's not actually precognition and you think it's precognition. You have a dream that you run into someone and then the next day you see them. It's not necessarily precognition, it's just confirmation bias. Even sometimes if you see, numbers like on a license plate or the time, it could be precognition, it could simply be pattern recognition. Remember that the brain is constantly and actively looking for meaning. Deja vu. Deja vu is just a memory glitch. So it's when the brain processes a current experience as a past memory, so there's this sense of familiarity that is false. Now let's talk about the precognition that is tested in the lab, the random number generator sensory isolation test. With this test, they have proven that participants can influence future outcomes. At the PAIR lab in Princeton, PAIR stands for Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research. They conducted precognition tests using random number generators. It generates a random sequence of numbers and the participant guesses it. Another precognition phenomenon is called remote viewing. And remote viewing is used by governmental agencies like the CIA, where the participant is asked to see a target or a hidden location and describe it. Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher is a physicist with a background in nuclear physics, mathematics, and astrophysics. And she conducted experiments at Stanford University in the 1970s. So the Stanford Research Institute confirmed three things. Consciousness is non-local. The electromagnetic field of the brain interacts with the quantum field. Space-time is a medium of information. There's a book, it's called The Premonition Code. Just open Google Scholar, type in precognitive abilities. There's so much information on this. There's so much data that, like, if this data were about some drug, people would be taking that drug. Now let's move on to the physics and explore how can precognition exist in science. In my opinion, physics is the most fragmented field in science. You have physics for big relativistic equations, so big objects like stars and star clusters and superclusters, and you have physics Planck scale, so quantum physics that deals with particles and subatomic particles. These two physics don't even agree. They describe the universe differently. One describes it cosmologically as a smooth continuum, and one describes it as granular. Einstein was involved with both and wanted to connect them. Why? Because big things come from small things. So he was looking for a unified field physics. He came up with his general theory of relativity in 1915, and he revolutionized physics by showing that gravity is not a force acting at a distance, like Newton thought, but a result of the curvature of space-time caused by massive objects. So in general relativity, space-time is a four-dimensional continuum, three spatial dimensions and time. Mass and energy warp space-time, and this curvature tells matter how to move. Space-time is a real physical entity. In Einstein's day, it was thought to be an analytical tool, and only mass and energy are real. There was no need anymore to have this fluid dynamic space, which was known as ether. John Maxwell used ether to write his equations for the electromagnetic field. Ether was removed from physics and replaced with the conceptual model of space-time. Einstein went along with this for 10 years, and eventually he realized that relativity required an ether. But it was too late. This was the downfall of physics. Now physicists realize the truth. There's a physicist named Frank Wilczek. He did a conference in 2017 titled The Materiality of the Vacuum. You can find this on YouTube. And he basically said that ether is fundamental. Vacuum fluctuation is fundamental. I will divulge for a bit to discuss the concept of infinity. So there's a physicist. His name is Nassim Haramein. He said that the source of energy in the universe is the relationship between infinities and other infinities. This is very similar to the theorem that the mathematician George Cantor came up with in the 19th century. And it's called the infinite amount of infinities. There are infinitely many infinities, and some infinities are larger than other infinities. So infinity is a hierarchy of infinite sets. There is no largest infinity. Infinity is infinite. Cantor used the Aleph symbol to represent different sizes of infinity. You had Aleph Null, which is a set of natural numbers. And natural numbers are counting numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no fractions, no decimals, no zeros. Then you have Aleph 1, which is a set of real numbers. Real numbers are all numbers. So whole numbers, fractions, decimals, square root, pi. There's a question called continuum hypothesis, and it remains the most famous unsolved problem in mathematics. And the question is the set of real numbers, Aleph 1, the next largest infinity after Aleph Null. Now, Kurt Gödel, he proved that it can neither be proven nor disproven in the framework of modern mathematics. Infinity only makes sense in a fractal universe because you can find an infinite amount of divisions in it. But there is still a boundary. So an infinite amount of infinities is an infinite amount of boundaries. Now, a fractal is an infinitely complex geometric structure. The fractal looks similar at every level of magnification. Fractals are created through recursive processes where a simple rule is repeated infinitely. 2,500 years ago, the Greeks, they realized that geometric shapes like the triangle is all about relationships. A triangle has three sides in relationship with each other, three angles. There's a figure named Benoit Mandelbrot, Polish-French mathematician. He's the father of fractal geometry. He discovered that seemingly chaotic structures like clouds and trees and coastal lines can be described through fractal patterns, so fragmented dimensional patterns. So Euclidean geometry versus the geometry of nature. This consists of perfect circles and straight lines, and this consists of irregular shapes like clouds. In the book In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust, Volume 5, the real voyage of discovery consists of not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. My favorite fractal is called the Koch snowflake. It has an infinite perimeter but finite areas. And this paradox shows how infinity can coexist with finiteness. You basically just keep adding equilateral triangles. It's the earliest described fractal. No matter how much you zoom in or zoom out, it looks exactly the same. In the universe, there are infinite amount of fractal divisions that basically drive each other. From infinitely big, so less dense, to infinitely small, more dense. And it's spinning itself into existence. In information theory, in physics, it's normal to discuss energy in terms of information. Everything about a particle, from its angular momentum to its position, is a set of information. And space is made of little bits of information vibrating at the Planck scale. I keep mentioning the Planck scale, but what is the Planck scale? Planck scale is the smallest possible measurable unit of length, time, and energy. And it was defined by the physicist Max Planck in 1899. In a sense, the universe at the Planck scale is pixelated. The Planck scale is so incredibly small that it's so difficult to fathom, even if I use metaphor. Think of the stacking frames of film. It's static, but the layering process creates a continuity. If you have a film that has 100 frames per minute, on the Planck scale, our universe has 1 trillion frames per second. That's essentially 10 to the power minus 44 seconds. Planck length represents the theoretical limit of how small space can be before the laws of physics as we know them break down due to quantum gravity effects. 1.616 times 10 to the power 35 meters. Or to give you an idea of how small Planck length is, if we were to use the ratio of Planck length to atom, it's the same ratio as the size of an atom to the observable universe. So what is the nature of the quantum field? When you interpret the laws of physics as algorithms, instructions of information, then you can see how the universe can exist and evolve. So it exists because information expresses itself as energy and matter, and it evolves because it expresses itself in a different but complementary space and time. Since the Big Bang, the universe has been adding more and more information and content. It has literally grown up and become more and more self-aware. And the whole universe is non-locally connected. So it is self-aware of itself at all times. So think of yourself as a little universe, and as you grow older, you expand literally and you become more and more self-aware. When we talk about the unified field, which the ancients referred to as the Akashic records, is non-locally connected, and there is evidence for this brought forth by many scientists. In 2017, scientists looked at something called CMB, which is cosmic microwave background, which is relic radiation left over from the earliest epoch of our universe. Scientists found the same fractal patterns in CMB that they did in galaxies and river systems and the internet. The second experiment they did was on non-locality, and they proved it in a lab. In 2018, researchers at MIT University, they did an experiment called the Cosmic Bell Test. They used the light from two different quasars. One was 12.2 billion light years away, and another one was 7.8 billion light years away. And they set up two telescopes, and they created two entangled photons in a lab. The light from the quasars was used to determine the settings for measuring the properties of the entangled photons. Why did they use quasars? Quasars are extremely distant, ancient galaxies that emit bright light from their supermassive black holes. So there is no local interference. With this experiment, they proved that entanglement is a fundamental feature of the universe. In this pixelated, non-local universe, paranormal phenomena, synchronicities, remote viewing, precognition is normal. It's natural within this whole world view. And we have access to all this non-local information. Consciousness is not confined to the body. It's a part of the quantum field. Your body is an antenna tuned to a set of information in the quantum field. Consciousness is your participation in this field. Creativity and genius are simply your capacity to tap into this quantum field. You are in constant communication with this field. The closest ancient tradition close to the truth is the Vedic tradition in India. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, if you read the Upanishads, you will find that everything is consciousness. The cosmos is pure mind. And the universe, from the start, came with cosmic instructions. Think of Einstein and the theory of relativity. This is not obvious in everyday life. He was connected to something. This is why Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So this oneness that we speak of, it's not a metaphor, it's reality. It's physicality. Thank you for listening.
Did you know the CIA trains agents to use a specific voice pattern that makes anyone instantly trust them? Here's the secret. It's called the trust triangle, and it's so powerful it bypasses the brain's natural suspicion filters. The pattern works in 3 steps. Start your sentence at your normal pitch, then gradually lower your voice as you speak, and end slightly above your lowest tone. This creates a subtle downward slope that mimics how parents naturally speak to comfort their children. Your brain is hardwired to associate this pattern with safety and truth. It's pure evolutionary psychology. Even more shocking, politicians and CEOs are secretly trained to use this pattern during speeches and negotiations. Try it yourself. You'll be amazed how people instantly lean in and trust everything you say.
In one of my previous videos about how we don't read our Bibles enough, one of the things that I said was that the 7 deadly sins are not actually found in the Bible. They were added hundreds of years later. And a lot of people commented. I didn't want to pick on anyone, so I decided to make this video. A lot of people commented that yes, they actually are found in the Bible. Proverbs 6 verses 16 through 19. See, here's the problem. The 7 deadly sins are lust, gluttony, pride, sloth, wrath, greed, and envy. That's what these 7 deadly sins are. So let me read to you Proverbs chapter 6 verses 16 through 19. The Lord hates 6 things. In fact, 7 are detestable to him. Arrogant eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that plots wicked schemes, feet eager to run to evil, a lying witness who gives false testimony, and one who stirs up trouble among brothers. Where's gluttony? Where's lust? Where's sloth? Where's envy? They're not there. It's because those aren't the 7 deadly sins that we know today. And in fact, in this verse, when the writer says the Lord hates 6 things, in fact, 7 are detestable to him. Remember, he's writing. He could have just scratched it out, the 6, and put a 7 and be like, there's 7 things the Lord hates. But he did that on purpose, and actually several times throughout Proverbs, you'll see that literary device used where they'll say there's 4 things, actually 5. There's 6 things, actually 7. That's a literary device that we still use today when we say things like including but not limited to. What they're trying to say with this list is this is not an all-inclusive list. These are some but not all, is all the writer's trying to say. Not that these 7 are any worse. If you look throughout Proverbs, there's actually more listed in different ways. But back to the original point, those are not the 7 deadly sins. And those commenters on my video proved my point that we don't read our Bibles enough. We take what others have said and told us and just assume. Do not assume. Absorb his word. Read it for yourself. Let it permeate into the soil of your heart personally, not because I said it, not because anybody else said it. Open this book and absorb the word for yourself. But then the next step is so key. Apply it to your life. It's not about Bible trivia. It's not about knowing what's where and memorizing verses. That's not what God does want you to know his word, but that's not the only point. The point is once you know it and once it has absorbed into your soil of your heart, you now turn around and produce fruit with it. You apply it to your life. You show your light to others. You preach and teach and reach each person in your life with the way that you act, with how you treat them, with the words that come out of your mouth, with your life. It's not about Bible trivia. It's about knowing him. It's about knowing his word, and it's about others knowing him through you. God bless you.
You think she's mad? Watch. Why do you do that?
People are baffled by these videos. Okay, so people get baffled by the video. It's like, but why would the dog be growling and showing teeth like that if he wants affection? So a few things happening. Number one, dogs live in the moment. So the moments are changing here. In the beginning, it's I want affection. And then all of a sudden it changes to getting affection and then warning. I don't want affection anymore. So the other thing that's happening there is you have a dog who's telling the human what to do in 2 ways. Number one, give me affection. Then the human says, okay, gives affection. And then now it's giving direction of stop petting me. Give me affection. Stop petting me. Give me affection. Stop petting me. So, of course, this is an unstable dog, an unbalanced dog. I would not be petting my dog like this. The dog's not broken. The people just haven't understood this dog. I would take a wild guess this dog's not getting a proper exercise. It's not receiving leadership and being fulfilled on a daily basis. So it's doing weird shit like this. That's just a dog stuck in warning. And again, giving direction of pet me and then stop petting me. So dog taking the lead in that scenario. Love you guys.
Wow,
See you
good
on the next
vibes.
one.
Look at this. Hey, my friend, where's this? Here it happens that way. You can tell us what you think. This bird keeps using reed as a snowbird. So snowboard. Look at this. Oh, maybe on another life, this one was a skater. It's good vibes, man.